Hi everyone, welcome. This is the Crossed Over Celebrity channel. My name is Tina Dushar, and today we are going to talk about feeling good. So if you're new to my channel, how this works is a celebrity helps me go through a theme. They usually come to me and then I channel their energy. We pick a theme. I like feeling good, or if there's something going on in the collective consciousness that they want to talk about. And then I channel some messages from them. I walk you through their soul contract and show you some of the things that played out for them in regards to the theme that we're talking about. Then we're going to pick some oracle messages for the viewers, things that they might need to be aware of. And so we definitely, if you're drawn to the video, there could be a message in it for you, personal message. So please listen. So if you're new to my channel, please like, share, and subscribe, as we're trying to build a team and get the word out. It's free. So and if you're interested in learning more about the history of the soul contract, we all have one. I always put in the description box a short introductory video if you want to see how I put the charts together. So with all of that being said, let's get right to it, because as you know, this is the Godfather of Soul that came to me a few days ago, and I can't get the song I Feel Good out of my head, so I'll spare you me singing it for you, but it's like, I feel good, na 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 na, and it's been a few days of listening and to James and talking about feeling good, because there's a lot of a lot of things, law of attraction, and you can watch lots of videos on keeping a high vibration and what all that means, but I'm here to put another little spin on it, because it's not just, nobody can go around feeling great all the time, right? I mean, we're meant to experience a range of emotions. Your soul contract is put together to, and all of the numbers, I'll share James's chart in just a bit here, but all of the numbers have negative vibrations and positive vibrations. And what I mean by that is, the experiences that you choose through your soul contract will bring you negative, depending on what your karma is, you might get some opportunities for growth. And so we would judge those as more negative. But every number, no matter what position it's in, whether it's, there's three positions, usually a karmic aspect, a talent. We all have talents and gifts, and then your goals, and then you have a final soul destiny. But we all, depending on where we're on our consciousness journey, will attract to us different levels of living in this duality, this dual world that we're in, different levels of what we consider good and bad. And so again, I believe we have many incarnations. This was one of James's, and a lot of very interesting things in his chart. But feeling good, again, yes, if we can get back to consciousness, which is really all about mindfulness and choosing how we think and how we react to things. And again, it's about being in touch with your emotions as well, because it's through your emotions that you manifest. And obviously, if you're going through a difficult time and you're having a lot of negative emotions, a lot of grief, those are normal processes. And that doesn't mean more bad things are going to happen, whatever that might have triggered your grief, or, losing a loved one or ending a relationship. I recently ended a relationship, and so I'm still going through the grieving process, and I still have highs and lows. So we have to be mindful of nobody, it's not to be frightened if you are experiencing, anger, frustration. These are all things you're meant to work through in your incarnation here and to ascend in consciousness. And it doesn't mean you want those emotions to control your life. That's what it's all about. It's being able to work through them, transmute them, and to create more positivity in your life. And when we start to create that more positivity, we become more aware of the positive things going on around us and in our lives. And so it's not as much as you're attracting, we're manifesting all the time, but it's not solidly based on, there's many laws, and law of attraction is just one of them. So I kind of wanted to put that out there because I think there's this misconception and people get very frightened if they have this law of attraction. If they don't feel good, it's a sign that's your inner being wanting you to look a little deeper if you're going through some harder emotions and to process them. Because a lot of times it's not necessarily what you're currently going through. It could be a reopening of an old wound that hasn't yet healed. So anyhow, we're going to take a look at, I'm going to share my screen and take a look at James's chart, since he was the one who came through it and wanted to help me talk to you about feeling good. Because in James's case, for him, feeling good was performing, singing, dancing. Those were the things that really elevated what we would consider a high vibration. Because whenever you're following your passion, whenever you're doing what you love, it does create some good things in your life. And it's things you can build on. Now we'll jump right into his chart so I can share you about. No, James did not feel good all the time. He had a lot of struggles in his life. He wants to say that every day there were a lot of ups and downs, a lot of struggles, and I'm going to explain to you why that was, because even though he had a lot of wonderful things happening to him, he was still dealing with a lot of traumas. He was, again, born in 1933. He was born in a very poor family. His mother was only 16. He was raised around prostitution and not given a great sense of the divine feminine, so he was his belief system was more stuck in this, more of what I would call a toxic masculinity. No offense, James, he's saying none taken. He's very open to the fact that he did not see women in a very positive life. It was more about the sexual objectifying type of kind of using them to feel good, part of his persona. He liked being able to attract, that kind of energy. And so that, again, I usually talk about the physical side first, but we're going to jump into a lot of his numbers so I can just kind of explain how these numbers were playing out for him. And again, we have karma, our opportunities for growth, and our talents that we are all given, and then goals, a physical goal, a spiritual goal, kind of things that get us up in the morning can be very subconscious, and then our soul destiny. So the physical karma for James, the most powerful number is a super hard karma here. And it's really all about being disempowered. And obviously he was very disadvantaged. He was very disempowered, I'm sure, as a child. He didn't have a lot of opportunities. And so this was all about him learning how to use his power in this world. And, so he had a lot of blocked energy, can be very, when you're very disempowered, it can also be very self-destructive behavior. So this would draw, when we talk about the mind and positive and negative energies, those things go through the mind, because our mind is where a lot of this starts, right? It's the negative thinking, the patterning that's set up, I'm worthless. It may not even be those thoughts, but it's a feeling. It gets very subconscious, these patterns that are put on us by society and being raised very poor. And it definitely, you could see, because he's got this great nines also in his talents, which gives him a much unusual, for him, would have had this belief in himself. So he would have even at a subconscious level known about his power, because with the nines, they feel that no matter what, they're going to be okay. So when it's in its karma, though, it can be very hard on the body. Like I said, it can be a very self-destructive behavior. And we saw a lot of self-destructive behavior with James throughout his life. This 22-4 I want to talk about right away, because it is the hardest karmic pattern to overcome. Good, James, man, I bow to you for picking this number in karma. This is all about being very disconnected from source, from God, however you want to. So you feel very much alone here. This can be very emotionally disturbing energies. It can make you feel very crazy at times. And there was much craziness by Mr. during his life, and he wants to acknowledge that feeling very out of control behavior. And that's a lot of that 22 is can be very very, very negative. And it also is about his vocal expression. So this is actually, when you hear him sing, he's got this very raspy, unusual voice, and how he's always, he's always expressing. This is really from this 22 and about, again, when he developed this over time, but it really was about connecting through your vocal channel and having this unusual way of doing it. And that comes from this 22s. So he was overcoming some of these numbers here because he was starting to learn about his power, about how his power, as a young singer, and how he danced and everything, and how that had an effect on people. So he started to learn about taking his power back, and that's what is meant from having it in your karma, is to learn to overcome it. So as he started to realize that, again, it's about becoming conscious of this stuff going on and then coming into your power. And so he had these wonderful sixes and talents, which is you can be creative in any area you choose. It's for being in his talents. Obviously, he gives you such a great expression in the visual arts, in singing, dancing, wonderful, wonderful creative ability. Now, again, he was very disadvantaged. We talked about I think he only made it to 6th grade, which is not a reflection of someone's intelligence. We carry many lifetimes with us. And this, 4 was all about him as well, trusting in the flow of abundance. So again, you could see that in his life where it came and it went, and it came and it went, because it's hard when you have this in karma, because opportunities will come to you that will show you that you shouldn't trust in the flow, that the flow will be stopped, that bad things will happen, and how do we overcome them? And it's about you building that trust over the course of your life. And this is about him also becoming good in business, which he struggled with the business side of things, right? Also came from this 3 here, which is a worthiness issue, and is tied, it can be tied, and it is tied to money. But it can also be about, he had a lot of tax issues, and it's really about paying attention to your money, because it's tied to your self-worth, and being how he was raised in his family, and how he would be very programmed in this negative way. Again, poverty, you're no good because of racial biases and things like that, that get programmed and projected onto us, that we carry, how our parents were treated, how they treated us. I don't believe from what I felt from him, he wasn't raised in a loving environment. So again, this makes this much more difficult, and is why he was so, again, following this toxic masculinity, because in our culture that is so revered here, about this dominating this. And again, he was born this Taurus, I call it the bull in the china shop, right? And the toxic side. So he's this very bullish, domineering force. And, you know, it really comes from a very low self-worth, actually, and learning how to communicate in a positive way. And that's what those threes are all about. This 12-3 is a very powerful number. And it kind of even though the nines are the most powerful too, this is in its blended energy is very, very, very super strong in both the positive and negative. And I'll get into that in a moment. Again, you'll see where he only picked one number in some of these aspects, and then we have a blended energy here. So this 12-3 it's all about expansion, and it's all about love and expression, and it's great for people like James who are creative and they're building and building. And so you could see how he was expanding, and they keep expanding in their life, and they're growing, and they're busy. We want people, if I were to do a read on you and, you know, you had a 12-3, you know, it would be tied to not feeling like you don't have enough time to do everything, and it's rush, taking on too many projects without focusing on what's important. And we get people to slow down and get them to really start to become conscious of what they want to manifest in their life. So it's more about conscious manifestation than being just driven off of your numbers, using your numbers in the best possible way as you learn about them. And so again, the negative side I want to bring up of these sixes is always, you see these in many famous people's charts, because the ones that are creative tend to get famous if they're really focused on their craft. And again, I believe a lot of people's achievements is tied to how many lifetimes they've been here. You might have somebody who have a lot of these same numbers, and they won't have this level of achievements. Again, it depends on how many times the soul's been here, because even though we may not be aware of our past lives, they do come through, and sometimes people work through their charts and they achieve more in certain aspects. What he was struggling with in this life that I was picking up from him, his energy and his chart, was that he, again, it was this masculinity, this self-worth, learning, you know, about valuing others too, about what others bring to the table and seeing their value, not just about us. And these fours can also be very selfish. They usually have a lot of unplanned pregnancies. He had 9 children, and I think possibly 13-3 he wasn't even aware of, because fours in karma, they can have a lot of unplanned pregnancies. Having children is actually a very healing. I don't know if he was close to any of his children. He said he would, you know, that was a regret of his. He wished he would have been a better father, and that would have been more healing for him too in this lifetime, because the fours are about having unplanned children so that you can learn to share of yourself and become more selfless. Because when you have a baby, right, I mean, they're so dependent on you, and it's about giving of yourself. And so again, the sixes and on the negative side, it could be a lot of anger and frustration when you're blocked. You know, he was carrying a lot of anger, a lot of trauma from his childhood. There's no doubt that was affecting his behavior. And then again, it was tied to the addictions. And it was meant for him, you know, he had it in talent. So I really felt, I know there was at one time he didn't allow anyone around him to be doing drugs or alcohol, but then he ended up, through some of his relationships, got into it himself, and then was carrying some addiction. So again, it's always something to be aware of there. And it's all about, it's no judgment. We pick this to overcome it. What's also, he had this wonderful 20-2 in his goals, which is all about expanding your business, expansion, growing, never retiring, never settling, you know, always wanting more and more. And it's this beautiful number for movement. It's all about flexibility. You see this symbol of the flexible. It gave him this great movement and dance, and his flexibility with jumping around and how he could do backflips. And so this number really helped him with the dance part of it and drawing people in. This too is a very masculine sign, and it's all about emotional resiliency. And I know he was struggling with that. I mean, when you have this 22-4 in your karma, you struggle very, and here in this 12-3 is all about balance. So, and he could be very super out of balance. And I think even a little bit emotional, disturbing energies, with him flipping out. The threes can be very violent on the negative side. So that's where this domestic violence played in. And of course, again, if we talk about a soul destiny and this 15s, the negative side of the 15, the 6 again is the same 6 here, which is the creativity side. But the 15 is a very insecure sign, and it's about going around in circles. And so I'm guessing in his mind, he would be very insecure, and it seemed like that as far as women were concerned, very insecure. So he was being very dominant, very possessive, and had taken on this ideology about having to use force to control. And so that comes from the threes and the self-worth issue. And so this 12-3s can also be about multiple partners, and you have to be very careful because this is expansion, and getting too many partners also throws you off balance. This is about really balancing these items and the goals here. And so he was struggling with that. So this again was he picked an extremely difficult chart. The 22 can also be what we call the word to peace number, the 20 is. And so this is him fighting. Excuse me, fighting and battling. I see how this oral expression from the 22 that I'm getting as I had connected with this energy, and what I do when I'm connecting with their energies, I want to connect to them as they were here, because now they're in light and love and they're healthy and happy. And as I want to get to the struggles, and I'm feeling this pain in my shoulders, and I was feeling very negative in my expression. So again, there was a lot of this negativity because you're totally disconnected from positive energies, and it's from God, because that's source. That's where we get all our positivity and radiation of spirit. And it was when he was singing and dancing and performing that he could really connect with those energies. So that was healing for him. But this number, and having that with a 9 in karma, this is a person who accomplished a lot with these numbers. And I'm not, picking sides or saying he did good or he didn't good, but this is really, I was a little impressed by that, and not because I know he struggled being very abusive to some partners. And there was a lot of fighting going on this word of peace, because that's all about internal conflict. And it's a lot of these rigid belief systems that are being projected onto you. Now, he was raised not very religious, but I know he did some gospel singing. And so there's a little bit of, again, confusion going on internally with him and with those belief systems, because it's our thoughts and how we behave and how we are motivated and how we choose, because again, how we feel is partly how we choose to feel. As we become more conscious and more mindful of the things around us, people are not as apt to trigger us. They're not as apt to make us feel a certain way. We realize that, we're in control of our emotions, and we're in control of our thoughts as well. Although it does take a while. I even struggle, like I said, myself in some aspects of, taking on other people's energy, or, I still work a full-time job in the corporate world, and that can be de-energizing, if people are not aligned with your energy as well. And so that's part of where this vibrational thing comes on, where the 6s really gave him this great ability to connect with anyone, kind of a chameleon energy as well. And again, the 15-6 is about him. Again, you see the circular motion here, kind of running around chasing his tail at times. But but it's really about learning what your purpose here was all about and finding the God within and the God without. And so he's got this total disconnection from God here, but yet he in his soul destiny, he was like tinkering with this. And so what this really means for James overall is that this lifetime was more of a preparatory lifetime for his next time to be able to actually choose a more spiritual path to go down and learn from. So I thought his chart, I wasn't, when he was coming to me, I wasn't sure, because like I said, I don't know much about James. I didn't follow him. I know that song and it kept playing in my head, and I knew that was what we were going to be talking about, or he wanted to bring up the idea of feelings and vibrations, because again, there's a lot of focus just on feeling good all the time. And it's really, we can't just always put on this happy face. We're meant to work through a lot of things. And this lifetime for him, he was meant to work through a lot of obstacles and a lot of things to prepare him for his next incarnation. So he knows that now. So I would have told that if he could have came to me and had a reading about, this is his lifetime to learn a lot just from his experiences, so that next time he'll be able to more easily commit to a spiritual path. So I thought he has a very fun energy about him. And yes, I do feel he's very he's just says he wants to know that he understands more about the feminine now, and he is learning on the other side. He is getting more into that understanding about that balancing, because we all have that divine feminine and divine masculine. It's very hard when men are crushing that, they're not embracing the divine feminine inside of them. So that can be very key. Again, this is a balance number, so he was struggling with that here, and he wants to know that he loves the divine feminine, and he that if he had any regrets or anything, it would be about how he treated women and how he looked upon them, and changing that. So he meant, that he wished that wouldn't have been quite as harsh as it was represented in his lifetime. So we are going to go to picking some oracle cards for the messages for the viewers from James, that he, the King of Souls here. So let's see what he's got for us. Oh, he wants you to go right away to the Work Your Light oracle. So come on, James. And again, if you are interested in having a reading, I'll put my information down below. And so here we're going to talk about, he's got these 12 threes in his chart. And so deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. Because he was going, he didn't give himself that break. And again, because his nines, having a 9 in karma, was really distorting his being able to take care of the body, take care of the self, because it can be hard on the body, because you think you can just keep going and you'll be fine. You have this kind of belief that you'll be okay. And he's saying how important it is for deep and that is to retreat, to rest, to stop, to just let the universe hold you, to just be. Again, that can also be a worthiness issue where, again, that's projected on people, that if they're not working all the time, they're considered lazy. And he wants you to know that that is not the case. It's to become more mindful of where your thoughts are going, and you can, even though he had that 22-4 in his karma, he still, as you become more conscious of your behavior, you should be able to overcome that. And that 22-4 could make him very crazy at times, really, that knock him out of balance. And so he's talking about that replenishment and how important that is. We all need it. So again, mindfulness with how busy you are. You just chasing your tail. He's got me going to the archetype cards. And so this is the knight. Okay, the knight. He said, yeah, I was the king of the night. He was actually pretty hilarious. So the knight, the light attributes of the knight is loyalty, romance, chivalry, a love of honor. And that was something he said is so important, how you treat people, being very mindful of being triggered by people and how you're reacting again. The shadow side is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. So again, being mindful of what is real, what isn't, meditating, journaling can really help you. If you do a daily journal, that can be very helpful in you putting things in perspective and starting to draw out your feelings. Because sometimes we even, especially when someone like James has 3s in their charts, they can be a little frozen emotionally, especially from having such a traumatic childhood. And so they don't even know what they feel. So a lot of times it's just easy. The easy emotion is anger. The easy emotions are to feel. Those are strong, negative, and they're easy to feel. But the other lighter emotions can be a little bit harder to feel. So again, right. Okay, so let's go to the spirit animal oracle. Yes, James, you were quite an animal. So he's like, yep, Taurus the bull. Yes, you were. And that's very, I mean, Taurus energy, I'm not putting down Taurus at all, it's very strong-willed and possessive, but that can be very in a good way. Those can be very good energies as well. They don't have to be negative. How you use these energies, and we want to have people focusing on their talents. And so for him, he's saying number 25 is coming up, and that's the elephant spirit, and that's learning from the past, learning from how things turned out and changing accordingly. He was struggling a little bit with his relationships and learning from the past. So it's really that, and that's what he is saying about those timeout periods are about reflecting on things, reflecting on, it's okay to reflect on things that may be bothering you, trying to go deeper as to why it's affecting you. So then you can, the next time something comes across, you may not be so triggered, and you may have much more consciousness around it. So again, learning from the past, so you're not repeating the same mistakes over and over. He's like, thanks for telling me that now. I can kind of see this visual of him in this, and like my picture, he was kind of in this red, and he has that such, they called him, I think, Mr. Dynamite or whatever. He has such this smile. It's just startling, but yeah, very cool energy. Yeah, he was a ladies' man. Like the ladies. But honor, he goes, but it's got to be through honor, and it has to be through the heart. Okay, so we have the butterfly, all about transformation. You see that beautiful rose flowering. And he's saying this is all about that softer side, that transforming and not being so insecure. He's saying insecure about who you are, and knowing that we all have struggles. And that one particular one for you. So let's go to that. A blue butterfly. That kind of fits him, a blue butterfly. It's no accident that the butterfly represents transformation, rebirth, and resurrection. Remarkably, when the caterpillar becomes a chrysalis, it doesn't just instantly become a butterfly. It actually dissolves into a kind of a soup. In other words, it liquefies itself, and out of that emerges something completely different. It is true transformation. In some cultures, blue butterflies are considered very good luck and even wish granters. Ooh, so some viewers, this is a message for you that you have good luck coming your way. In Native American tribes, it is believed that a wish whispered to a butterfly will be granted when it flies to the heavens. The Native American shawl dance, which celebrates renewal, is derived from the butterfly dance. Also, the color blue represents a calmness, peace, and spiritual attunement, and the blue butterfly is thought to carry all of these meanings. I love that, how it talks about the butterfly dance because of James's ability to just capture with his movement, and that he says very transformative for him. So again, so how can we get into what people are always saying is high vibration? Dancing, singing, playing music. Music can, connecting to your heart is these are ways that you can raise up your wisdom of the oracle. And I always put the cards we pulled in the description box below in the decks that I get them from, so you guys know. Okay, James, what wisdom are you going to put down to us? Ooh, exchanging gifts. 27. And look at the pink on here. That's very feminine quality. Soft, softening up, he said, allowing that softness and exchanging gifts. Oh, I love how that she has the wings jumping out of the box. Beautiful energy. I am going to read that did come out in reverse. So we will read the protection message. So again, this is for the viewers. The law of giving and receiving, currency, trade-offs, weighing costs and determining value. That's the self-worth, making sure you're being fair. He wished he had been more fair in some of his relationships, and had respected and treated people accordingly. So the protection message is be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. And then realize you don't want to face the hefty price tag that comes with it. You may find yourself in a situation you have always desired, but know you will have to walk away from or even fail at it because you can't or won't pay the dues it asks of you. You want to be a famous musician. You want to practice your craft every day. If you want to be a millionaire, you have to be responsible for managing the money and paying the taxes. Even a windfall bears a cost. It's okay though, because spirit will help you achieve balance over time. Another message here reminds you that being only the giver and not the receiver plays out in many relationships in your life where you find yourself in victim mode, in a codependent dynamic, or holding onto a false sense of control. Others may push you to continue to prove yourself. The time has come to distance yourself from this kind of imbalance. Being aware of the need for both give and take is the first step to your true destiny. It's all good and getting better. Not only can you handle this, but you can flourish as a result of it. That is great. That couldn't be any better advice from James. Mr. Brown, King of Soul. Thank you. That was incredible. And so I always go to the Angel Self-Mastery deck as one of, and then we'll do the mantra. I always end with a mantra. Oh, we got a few cards. Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Is that the one, James? Okay. All right. Couldn't be more perfect. We talked in depth about the 3 and the self-worth. This is number 3 coming through. Look at that brilliant colors. He's just said it was such a brilliant persona. Expansion in your life. And it was through that, again, he's saying you can expand in any area. That protection message about that give and take and focusing on your dreams, being mindful of where your thoughts are, watching your addictions, watching what is driving you. And as you, what I find with addictions is as you start to become more mindful of why you're doing the things you're doing, when you're doing something, or if you're reaching for that beer, you know, starting to ask yourself the right questions as to, do I really need that? Is that good for me? But as you raise your self-worth and you start becoming more mindful and you start letting go of things that don't serve you, things start things do start to move better for expansion in your life. So that was a wonderful. We're going to end this reading with a healing mantra from the Matt Kahn deck. Okay, James, but so it's called Discovering Happiness. And the mantra is, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. So please, also that in there, but I'll put that in the description box below. It's good to say mantras as often as you think of it over the next few days. Those are healing mantras, so they can work wonders for. This is about discovering happiness and being content exactly as you are. And so let's recap. I feel good. And so there's many ways. Feeling good is important, but so are your other emotions. So don't push them away. It's okay to feel them. It's okay to just sit with them, not wallowing. There's just a little bit of a distinction I want to make there, because if you're replaying in your head these stories over and over, that would be wallowing. It's sitting and allowing the space to move the energy through you. And again, not projecting it, because we can never project those negative energies onto others. That doesn't get rid of them, even though we feel sometimes we get triggered and we try to project onto others. We feel that will get rid of all these bad feelings, but that doesn't work quite that way. So again, put that music on, do a little dancing so that you can feel good, because it's okay to feel good too. And I thank you for being here, and for James so much for being here and sharing those great messages for everybody. And I hope to see you in the next video. Much love to you. Bye.